special units that changed the rules of warfare. Rubicon has begun hunting Ukrainian drone operators. It tracks them down, identifies them, and destroys them even before they launch their UAVs. The emergence of Rubicon has radically changed the situation on the digital battlefield. "We've started having a wing collapse," admits a reconnaissance officer. "It was created a year ago by order of Russia's Defense Minister Belousov. However, there is still no information about its structure or who commands it. Today, we will discuss a very young Russian unit that, despite its youth, is causing panic among Ukrainian troops and sending Ukrainian UAV operators into nervous tremors. We are talking about Rubicon, the very unit whose drone will be the last thing Magyar sees before heading to hell. We will try to pull back the curtain and explain what this unit is, what it does, and why it is so feared. To avoid accusations of bias, all information and assessments will be taken from Western journalists and the opposing side. They are hardly likely to be suspected of sympathy toward the Russian army. It all began with an article from the Financial Times in the UK, which in the past 10 years has not written a single good word about Russians, in my opinion. Therefore, we can assume they are more likely to underestimate Rubicon's effectiveness than exaggerate it. So, in the section "The World Through Their Eyes," we take a close look at the Financial Times article titled "Elite Russian Unit Hunts Down Ukrainian Drone Operators." The authors of the article are Charles Clover and Fabrice Dupre. Having recklessly decided to take a walk in a forest near the Russia-Ukraine front line, Ukrainian UAV operator Dmitry heard the disgusting buzzing of a Russian quadcopter. Many times he had been on the other side of such a scene, sitting in a secluded dugout wearing goggles with a control panel in his hands, directing his strike drone at unprotected Russian soldiers. This time, Dmitry ran. "I fired randomly upward with my rifle. It disorients you when someone shoots at your drone," he said. "I missed, but fortunately, I think it made him miss too." Such skirmishes have become a familiar and ominous phenomenon along the Ukrainian front line. Inventive and aggressive Ukrainian drone operators spent nearly 2 years striking Russian units almost with impunity. But now the hunt has begun against them as well. Their executioner has become an energetic new Russian unit called Rubicon. Using sophisticated tools and its own arsenal of hunter drones, this team of UAV operators tracks down, locates, and destroys Ukrainian drone crews even before they launch their aircraft. "A drone is easy to spot, but a drone operator is hard to find," said Dmitry, a formerly successful rapper before the conflict. The emergence of Rubicon has radically changed the situation on the digital battlefield, stripping Kyiv of one of its key tactical advantages. Its success has increased pressure on the Ukrainian army, which is already struggling to fend off Russian forces that have both numerical superiority and better funding. "Rubicon is our main problem," said Ukrainian serviceman Artem Koryakin, fighting near Krasnoarmeysk, also known as Pokrovsk, now a key frontline city. "It appears to be on the verge of falling after a year of fierce battles. If the Russians didn't have such competent drone operators, their infantry wouldn't have been able to enter the city," said Koryakin. "Right now, it's very dangerous to be a drone operator." Rubicon includes around 5,000 personnel and has substantial financial resources, said Rob Lee of the Philadelphia-based Foreign Policy Research Institute. Instead of striking Ukrainian infantry on the front line, the unit has focused on eliminating drone operators and destroying Ukraine's rear infrastructure, striking up to 10 kilometers behind the front. Its fighters disable vehicles and drones, including heavy quadcopters and wheeled robots used to resupply frontline units. In addition to offensive operations, Rubicon plays a key role in training other Russian unmanned systems units. According to Lee, it's more than a unit. It's a hub, a center for developing all kinds of unmanned systems. This includes research and development, analysis, tactics, techniques, and procedures. Ukrainian units say say they often notice a qualitative improvement in enemy forces after their troops undergo training at Rubicon. Its creation outside Russia's cumbersome and authoritarian command and control system suggests that the Russian army, once a disorganized and uncoordinated mass, has begun to improve and innovate. In many ways, they are the direct opposite of how the Russian army usually operates, said Lee. They don't work through a bureaucratic quota-based system. No, Rubicon is more like the innovative Ukrainian drone units that can react faster and take initiative. Their strategy of operating behind the front line has given them an advantage in the constantly evolving drone war, which analysts estimate accounts for 70 to 80% of military casualties. Since Rubicon is weakening Ukraine's supply system and hindering drone operations, Ukrainian operators have been forced to shift their efforts towards slowing the Russian advance. While hunting drone operators, Rubicon reconnaissance units often track them to basements or forest belts, after which they either eliminate them or pass their coordinates to Russian aviation. Usually they search for exposed antennas on hilltops and high buildings, knowing operators need direct line of sight for receivers, Dmitry said. Working by radio signal, strike and reconnaissance drone operators must be no more than a few kilometers from the front line. Advances in electronic warfare also mean they are easier to locate. In the drone contest, control over the electromagnetic spectrum is as important as air superiority. Both sides use massive jammers and electronic intelligence stations to detect and disable enemy drones. However, the jammers themselves create a strong electromagnetic signature, making them easy to detect and destroy. Operators can also hack enemy cameras and use radio direction finding systems to locate transmitters. It's a cat and mouse game in which physics is the arbiter, said electronic warfare expert Tom Withington of the Royal United Services Institute in London. Rubicon's vast financial and human resources allow it to maintain relentless operational tempo, said a Ukrainian soldier with a small drone unit fighting near Krasnoarmeysk, known by his call sign Zoomer. He requested his real name not be used. They have a lot of people, which means they can operate 24/7. They can rotate teams every 5 hours. They can sleep. It's harder for us because we don't have enough people to constantly rotate, and we still need to sleep, Zoomer said. Before Rubicon reached Krasnoarmeysk, it was almost like a vacation for us, he added. Drones can give defenders a decisive advantage by making the battlefield visible, said USI research fellow Bob Tallis. Ukraine's small semi-autonomous units were highly effective at creating chaos when Russia lacked modern drones, but Moscow has invested heavily and learned from Ukraine's experience, Tallis said. Now Kyiv must counter Rubicon's highly organized strategy with its own clear, centralized battle plan, he added. Dmitry's brigade created a counter-drone group to eliminate Russian drone operators. The unit's spokesperson declined to provide details. Ukrainian operators are also taking various precautions, changing routines, launch and transmission positions, and making better use of camouflage and cover. The new rules are simple, said Dmitry. Sit quietly, stay silent, camouflage your position, and don't move unless you have to. Maybe I'll want to take a nice little walk for my health when I have 20 minutes. No, that's a very bad idea. Got it? It's best to sit in your trench and scroll Instagram. Well, that's the article. Now let's try to understand, what exactly is Rubicon and where did it come from? The mystery of Rubicon, as they say. The Russian drone unit Rubicon quickly became one of the most well-known formations in the Russian armed forces. Its emergence, according to Ukrainian drone experts, has radically shifted the balance of power. I didn't expect the appearance of specialized drone units. We must admit, they really changed the situation on the battlefield, writes Ukrainian military aerial reconnaissance specialist Serhiy Marko. He notes that Rubicon doesn't limit itself to using FPV drones. They have created an entire scalable air operations system deployed across the front line. Under the cover of vegetation, they push tactical radar systems to the front echelon, both circular scan systems like ENOT-SD and directional Doppler radars like Volna, Rapenic, and others. These systems systems are integrated with electronic intelligence and electronic warfare, creating a qualitatively new level of counter-Ukrainian drone capability. Enemy air defense crews have blocked layered strikes across 2 to 3 echelons. We've started having a wingfall, the reconnaissance officer notes, stressing that Russia managed to reduce the operational range of Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance. Rubicon's distinctive feature is systematic coordination. Russian units use a unified EW/ELINT radio network to detect Ukrainian drone activations at the moment of launch. Sometimes Baba Yagas aren't even allowed to take off. They're hit by an FPV drone right on the launch pad before departure. This means they've deployed EW assets at multiple elevations and can see our systems powering on, Marco writes. This has also led to targeted hunts for Ukrainian operators. Russian drone teams receive location data on crews and destroy them as a priority target. The unit operates not only tactically but organizationally. For drone pilots of the Russian armed forces, a manual was created describing how to properly counter Ukrainian pilots. It details necessary equipment and which units to coordinate with, Marco notes. Ukraine has no such unified documents. Algorithms emerge at grassroots level and don't always reach commanders. Russia, however, has built a vertical structure of control and analysis in which ELINT and EW intercept data are tied to drone strikes and effectiveness is evaluated systematically. Volunteer and founder of aerial reconnaissance support projects, Maria Berlinska describes Rubicon as one of the most effective new formations of the Russian military. Rubicon has excellent management. They work systematically, have top-tier personnel selection, training, and equipment. They're flooded with money, she writes. According to her, over the course of a year, the unit destroyed thousands of vehicles and drones and inflicted heavy losses on Ukrainian operators. The main focus of Rubicon's efforts has been the elimination of Ukrainian drone operators. You can have 1 billion drones, but without operators, drones are meaningless, and more of our operators are being killed, Berlinska writes. The unit is rapidly scaling up. From formations of a few hundred personnel, they are growing to thousands to cover the entire front. By autumn, we will see at least 5,000 to 6,000 specialists, she predicts. In addition to Rubicon, new types of drones are being fielded. FPV drones with video transmitters, X-shaped loitering munitions, wings operating in radio silence mode using beacons, optical navigation. These are all products of systemic development, as well as cooperation with China's military-industrial complex, which is testing its solutions on us, Marco adds. Thus, Rubicon has become a concentrated expression of Russia's strategy in drone warfare. It is not just individual FPV crews, but an entire structure where reconnaissance, electronic systems, and strike teams operate within a single unified algorithm. Everyone who understands how Rubicon works agrees on one point: it is extremely effective. It is a system. Rubicon was created a year ago by order of Russia's defense minister Belousov. According to Russian military media, its formation drew lessons primarily from the Kursk operation in Ukraine, where Kyiv used drones and electronic warfare in a concentrated manner to quickly gain air dominance and achieve a ground breakthrough. Although the unit is mentioned openly in reports from the Russian Ministry of Defense, there is no publicly available information about its internal structure or leadership. Russian commentators note that Rubicon was not modeled after Ukraine's drone units, which were built largely from the bottom up. Instead, Russia opted to create an elite centralized organization, one that now scales its practices across the entire front. Ukrainian experts are urging their own forces to adopt similar systematic methods in drone warfare. This reflects the well-known saying, Russians take a long time to harness, but they ride fast. 2 years of preparation, and now they're moving at full speed. Rubicon is striking everything and everyone. The Ukrainians fear them and are still trying to resist. All right, let me know what you think in the comments. If you've got any info about Rubicon or some interesting details we didn't cover, drop it below. If you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you're watching and enjoying our content but still aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss new uploads. Either way, subscribed or not, leave a comment and tell us what you think. All right, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye.